Tudor Girba. Oh gosh, how do I get a handle on what you're doing? You have come to me with one of the most abstract ideas I've encountered recently. And yet, unlike a lot of people with abstract ideas, you have some concrete backing to it.
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah, so what I want to do is have you explain the abstract idea for us, and then we'll get completely lost, then we'll go to the concrete tool and finally get our hands on it. And once we know what kind of physical thing we're dealing with, let's zoom back out and talk about the abstract.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, okay. So the abstract idea is moldable development. The concrete idea is Glamorous Toolkit. Tell me about moldable development. What the heck's that?
Okay, so moldable development is this idea of that we cannot experience anything, is based on the idea that we cannot experience anything in a software system except through tools. Which means that it's probably going to be kind of important to look at the characteristics of the tools because they're going to influence the way we're going to think. And moldable development is the science of that. The science of how do we build those tools to make them really exciting for us, to work with the problems that we have in front of us. Now, there's the other issue here, which is that software is highly contextual. And because software is highly contextual, we cannot predict the classes, the problems people will have. We can predict classes or problems people will have, but not the specific problems. And therefore, we can't provide the tools. Or also the corollary is right. If any tool that you take off the shelf that does not adjust to your context is not going to be particularly useful. So we'll push you to do most of the work in your head. So I just had the conversation, or I had my presentation just now, and I asked the full room of people saying, do you agree that you spend most of your time as developers reading code? And pretty much everybody says yes. So more than 50% of the time. Okay, but now here's the thing. When was the last time you heard developers talk about how they read code? So not about the code they read, but about how they do the reading. It's just a simple question, right? But it never pops up. But it's kind of interesting because if you don't talk about it, it's not explicit. If it's not explicit, it has never been optimized. And we're talking about the single largest cost you have. It's your budget, it's your own. Like as a developer, you decide what you do with your time. That's kind of crazy. So
you're saying we can optimize the way we read code and we can build tools for it?
Yes, the way you're going to optimize anything, because that's what we do as software. We take a problem and we apply some tool. The question is what kind of tool? And as I said, we have this complication of not knowing the tool before we know the problem, and we only know the problem during development. Therefore, the tool must be created during development. And now, given that you have many problems during development, you will have many tools. And when I say many tools, I mean thousands of tools. And when I say thousands of tools, I mean thousands of tools per system. Not thousands of tools like worldwide, like thousands of tools per system. And it looks very similar to what you've been seeing. Like, oh, I have a plugin here. For example, if you look at IntelliJ, there will be like, 7,000 plugins worldwide. And then you go to VS Code, so, whoa, this is much better. There's 50, 60,000 worldwide. Okay, if you open Glamorous Toolkit, you have 5,000 in just the core technology. We're talking about orders of magnitude difference. It's similar, but it's not the same. It's kind of like the shift between deploying 1 time per year to deploying 10 times per day.
So my instinctive reaction with this is that, custom tools to help me explore my code base. That sounds great. I'm already at 95% capacity. I don't possibly have the time to build such things.
Exactly. Because you're busy reading code.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? And then what if we can take that time, right? So we'd like to draw wordly maps recently. So the way we explain this one is through a wordly map like this. So if you think about an environment like If I have any kind of decision that I have has to somehow relate to the system. And right now, the way, because we don't talk about it, we're going to do the default thing. We type text inside, so therefore we should read text out of it. And it's like, it's funny because text, we might type text, but code, anything in a system is data. It's not text. It's not a book. That's the worst sidetrack in this industry probably have ever taken over the last couple of decades. It's data, and data doesn't have a shape. And so it's worthwhile to think about how do I go from the decision to the information from the system. So there's like, for example, we say here, well, first of all, you need to assess, then you need to explore, then you have to have a conversation. I have both between humans, but the more interesting is the between humans and systems. Then, of course, you need information, which then, of course, you need to have a way to construct or get this information out of their system. And the most important thing is that you cannot do any of this except through an experience. You need some sort of a tool to get to your system. And there is a science behind this tool. And if you understand it, you can just leverage grammatically. Because today, this is how things happen. Like most of it is gut feel driven. Most of decisions are like, I'm going to look at some data, but the question is which data? Because you cannot read your way through the system, so you'll infer most of the information. That's why you don't trust a diagram when you see one, because it was manually created. So that diagram does not document the system. It documents the belief the author had about the system, which is totally different. It's interesting as an input, but not for decision making. And so, and then why is it so? It's because mostly people synthesize the information by manual inspection. And that's wrong. You should not do this. So what's the alternative? The alternative is to basically transform this time, the manual inspection time, into coding time, and then you generate the views. And then you literally are in a completely different world, because you're disrupting the view. Goes from just being something you manually construct to something that is a complete commodity. Once it's coded, I'm going to generate it 1 billion times at zero cost, basically. So through these things, I can go from a question to an answer incredibly fast. But now, even if I'm just going to do it one question at a time, it already gets me this. But there is a compounding effect that's actually the most exciting. Because once I can ask something about this system, and about this part of the system, and then about that part of the system, I can also start to have conversation about both of those things, and those things compound. And that's completely changing what the meaning of programming. And so anyway, that's what moldable development is.
Right. Completely changing the meaning of programming. Yeah. Right. Okay. So, like I said, you're an ambitious man with abstract ideas, big ideas. It sounds, if I can paraphrase that as best I can, it sounds to me like you're saying if we had better ways of our code explaining things to us, we would be in a fundamentally different place. We should be building thousands of tools that do that. I can't imagine, here are my problems. I can't imagine thousands of tools that will help me explore some domain, my code, whatever. B, even if you give me 50% of my week back that you say I was spending reading code, that's not enough time in the year to build thousands of tools.
Oh, so we're not going to give you 50% back. We're going to give you about 99% back.
Okay. Same point. I've worked in places where you'll be lucky if you get 3 or 4 tools built in a year.
That's a point, yes.
So, time to go to the Glamorous Toolkit challenge, because I want you to prove some of what you're saying.
Let's see if I'm up to it.
So, let me tell you what we've done here. Tudor's talking about being able to explore a domain rapidly and build tools that help you to understand that domain, right? I'm saying prove it. I've given him some data. I gave him a file about an hour ago, and he promised not to look at it.
I just downloaded it now.
You just downloaded it now? Yeah. Oh yeah, you ran in from your talk and you said, where's the file? Yeah. Okay, so this is high stakes programming, because you're doing live coding blind.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
But it's an excellent chance to get you to prove your point. I've given you some structured data. This is actually some spells from Dungeons and Dragons, which is just structured enough and just unstructured enough that I felt like, okay, and just small enough but just complicated enough that this is going to be a domain we can explore. Okay. And if you can build 2 useful tools in about half of this interview time, you might be on the way to convincing me.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, that's the challenge.
So I have here, I can see, so I basically, I started from a playground here. I said, okay, challenge.
And this is Glamorous Toolkit.
This
is the tool that implements your idea.
Yes, and it was the tool where I was showing or giving the presentation about the idea and the wordly map inside. So, and now what I've done is just open up Notebook here, and I'm inspecting an object, which is a file reference pointing to the current directory where I copied this spellbook.txt file that Kris sent me. And if I click on this, I get a file reference to this spellbook.txt. And so I don't know what's in there, so okay, I just learned about that, so I'm just saying spellbook.txt. I'm gonna do this. Great. So now let's say I'm gonna take the contents out of this. If I'm now asking contents, I get a string back. Right? It's no longer a file, it's a string. I still can see it here. Interesting enough, right? So what you see on the right is an inspector. So it's an inspector of something called a white string. So that's the class, and I'm looking at an instance of it. And the instance, this inspector shows me a view called string. Now by default, normally he would show me something like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because the string is like a collection modeled here, and here is the ASCII, the ASCII values, right? So you have 35, 34. So if you think about this, like who cares? Who cares about this view? But this view is the view that is generically applicable to any object in the world. And that's exactly the view that any of you are probably going to see every time you put a breakpoint somewhere and you look at an inspector of an object, regardless of your language. So the cool thing about this is you build it once, it took you 1 year to build it or whatever that is, but you're going to use it 1 billion times. It's like, how cool is this? You get a really cool return on investment. But because it's applicable to every one of these little tiny, objects around the world, like billions of them, it means that it captures exactly what's not interesting about any of those objects. Because what's interesting about this string is absolutely not the ASCII file. The one that models the string concept, yes, they care about that, but everybody else, in the world, the rest of billions of people, they just care about the string, right? So I have a view. So even one tiny object can have different perspectives. And it's interesting, because if I'm now going to modify the way I look at one object, yes, I thought that 30 minutes is maybe too long for this, so I'm just dragging with my feet. But even if it's... So if even one object, if I can modify, if I change the way I look at just one object, why is this important? Because software has fractal-like properties. And if you want to affect large patterns, you should affect the smallest pattern. And that's the crazy thing. Because if we can change the way we deal with one object, not a large thing, one object, we can have a chance of changing everything. So back to this, when we have just one string object, like what string? Like string is easy. Like everybody, we know strings. But the thing is that even a string, and by the way, when I'm going to parse this thing, I want to know what is inside here. And I'm just making it up. So one way to look at it is, I want to see maybe a list, but I want to see the list of characters. So this is one. But what if I combine the two? So now I have here a string, and then I have here the characters here on the right. And if I'm going to parse, for example, one thing I want to know is what kind of line ending is there? Oh, that's an LF line ending. Great, because I just know, I can see. Oh, let's take a quick look here. Oh yeah, it's LF as well. So we're good. So we know that information. Excellent. Okay, so that's the idea. You're going to see lots of these little inspectors and lots of these kinds of views, and we're try to find our way through this. Okay, excellent. So I have my contents. And now, I have no idea what I'm doing here. So I'm just gonna, let's go here. I'm gonna copy one of these. Because, working with all of this is just too much for me. I like tiny problems. So small problems is nice. So one entry is maybe I'm gonna do this. I'm just making it there, adding in this. Oh, actually, even here, I can see, okay, it starts with a hash. That's kind of almost like a markdown, but actually probably not the markdown, because I guess I can see here, look, casting time, colon. Oh, and look how evil he is, right? He's not putting colons in the first one. No. Because why should it be well formed? And that's the thing. The reality of software is that it is not uniform. You cannot expect it to behave the way you want it to behave. You, on the other hand, can expect the tools to adjust to exactly the perspective you need to the thing that you have in front of you. And that's what might make it humane. Because the problem is that when we see something like this, oh, this is so hard. I don't have a parser. Parsers are difficult to build. So let's build one. So I'm going to start with the first one. I'm going to say, okay, I have some sort of a header here. And I can see, okay, there is a hash. I'm going to build the parser object here. And afterwards, maybe I'm going to trim this. And then I'm going to say, end of line. I'm going to create a parser for that. And then I'm going to say, well, actually, I want to negate this. So I don't want the end of line. And then I'm going to say I want it multiple times. And then I want the end of line as parser, right? Something like this, right? Does this make sense already? It's a kind of a small DSL with a peg parser in there. It's kind of almost like a regex, except that don't do regex, because this is just so... primitive. Anyway, so I have here header, and then, you know, if I'm inspecting the parser object, it actually tells me how is it built inside, because I just type things over here, but that's kind of like what actually gets executed, right? Now think about this, right? I was just looking at the string. String is the thing that you want to care about, but now I'm inspecting the object representing the tool that I want to apply on the string. Because that's the beauty of software. There was this guy called Marshall McLuhan, very important guy, about 1950s and 1950s, 60s, and he said this really very interesting, he made this very interesting remark. He said, computers are completely different than the real world, because in this world, the medium is the message. This has very large implications, because it means that I can manipulate the medium and the message in the same way. The way I manipulate the thing and the thing about the thing is exactly the same. And there's enormous power with this. And so basically, programming is actually indistinguishable from philosophy. Oh my God, this is so cool. Anyway, so we have header. And if I now say here, header parse, header parse the entry. And see what happens. Well, it said it gave me a hash, and it gave me a collection of characters, and it gave me nil, because that's this one. So in fact, that's kind of neat. I don't want here star. I don't want a collection of. Let's do trim. Let's do token. So if I do token here, I get a token with the value inside, and then actually here I don't need all of it. I just need the second one. Right? Oh, that's neat. Okay, so I now have this, but look at this, because now I have a token object. Oh my God, I have a token object. A token knows where it comes from, so it even gives me a highlight. I have a debugger built in. Wow, I don't have to think too much, because it's right there. Okay, so the second level, what's this one? I have no idea what that is. Second level enchantment. I guess that's going to be the title.
It's the summary of the kind of spell we're looking at.
Oh, okay, the summary of the kind of, okay, so it's like a title.
Abate tension is the title. This is the one-liner describing what that does.
So one-liner.
While you're typing that, I'm going to say, for the record, these aren't actually Dungeons and Dragons spells. This is ChatGPT generating something the same, so that we don't get a copyright strike on the video.
Oh, well, that's elegant.
So if there are Dungeons and Dragons players in the room going, I don't think this is accurate, you're right.
So I'm just going to do, something that is not super sophisticated here. But when I do this and do entry, if I do now header, I have the complete parser here with header and one-liner next to each other. Maybe I'm going to do header trim like this and one-liner. And now if I do the whole parser and I parse, oh, look at this. I get the abate tension, and I get the second array, which is, okay, great. I have that one. That's the token I'm interested in. I'm not interested in the end of line. So I'm going to say, I just want here the first. So now I have that and that. Okay, so I start to have this. So I can, let's go and do this all the way. I guess that's called range. Now range is going to be something like range and column, and I'm going to build a parser here. I'm going to say trim, and then Okay, 30 feet. Now 30 feet. Will it always be feet? I don't know. That's going to be interesting to find out. Okay, I will do end of line for now. I don't know what I should be doing with this. Actually, maybe let's imagine that we are caring about digit. And I think, what is it going to be? Repeat? No, times 2 or digit parse star. Okay, I'm going to do this. Digit parse star. Then I'm going to say flatten. And then I'm going to parse everything until the end of the line. I'm going to do that. Okay, so now I have this and I have range. I'm still living a little bit on the edge here because I'm now parsing the whole thing, but let's see if it works. Now I have an execution trace. Now this is kind of interesting because if I have an execution trace, I want to know where it fails. So it goes to there.
So you're debugging your parsers live.
Yeah, so this is the second one. Because like I got an exception, I got a problem, but the problem can tell me what the problem is. Because, okay, so I'm doing something wrong over here. Oh, look at this, casting time? Why is it? Oh, it's casting time for, oh, look at this, I missed. You see, it's casting time. Okay, so with casting time is kind of similar to the first one. So I'm just going to copy this. Casting time is going to be here. Casting time. Then again is the digit, multiple times, and then action, end of line, and
I'll
then
give you
end
got
of
a
line.
typo on casting. You've missed out
Casting.
the G.
Oh, thank you very much. You're so kind. Oh.
Can we just take a moment to realize how impossibly hard this is to do live coding on a domain you've never seen before?
It's not that hard.
Oh, well, okay. This is your central thesis, that this stuff should be easy, and you are starting to prove it.
No, but the thesis here is that, you know, this would be, you know, it would be as if this is different. This is literally how all my development looks like. It's exactly like this. There's no difference. You're just going to think your way through things as they come. And whenever you're going to, oh, look at this. So now I have one and action. So I remember both the one and the action. Cool. I'm going to do the same for the range because I like that. Well, now I have 30 and feet. So in case you're going to catch me with something. So I have that. Then I have components over here. Okay, do I have components? And then, oh, this is going to be fun. All the way to here. So components, we have components. I'm going to just copy the same thing that I have to range. Any questions so far about the process of doing this? Components.
Anyone? I think we're all just watching in awe and wondering what's going to happen there.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, and then here we have components. Oh, this is kind of interesting because now I suppose that, I don't know, but I'm going to say I want a word here, star, and then I want it, this is kind of interesting. Okay, because basically now I want that, and I want, it's not going to be until the end of line because maybe we should get, then it's going to be the end of line maybe. But basically it's this, and then afterwards comes a comma. So I'm going to say trim maybe. Then comes a comma as parser, and then comes, because I have that, and then, okay, so I have a word. And go here, words, that, and then I'm doing here trim word. Okay, so first I want the word, and then afterwards, every time I have a comma, this becomes star, right? So then that, and this becomes the star over here, and then comes the end of line. So let's see. Now this is kind of complicated here, so now I'm not so satisfied to test it in the whole thing, so I'm going to take it out, and I'm just going to take this one over here, and I'm going to say even this part. It's not interesting, so I'm saying components, and I'm saying parse this, and I even took out the end of line. What is missing here? There's some sort of missing. Okay, yeah, there's one parenthesis too much, I guess. So that should work. Let's see if we parse it. Oh, look at this. We have components. Then we have a collection, but okay, this is star. We want to flatten it. We want to flatten this one. We have that, and we have a collection of items, right? V, and then, oh, okay, we have a collection of a collection, because, oh yeah, so, no, why do we have a collection of a collection? If this, V, and collection, okay, so I do need the trim here, of course I need the trim. No, actually, probably want the trim, best would be to put the trim here. It will be simpler. Okay, so I have this one, I have this, and I have a collection. Oh yes, exactly, because inside here I have the star, but here I only care about the second of these items, right? So I have a V and a collection following afterwards. So now when I do this and I get all the tokens in the second position of this, so in the first position is components. In the second position, if I take the second, I have another array. You can see it here. So I take the first, and then maybe I will do as array here, and then I will concatenate that one with the t second second. So now I think, oh yeah, look, I have V and S. I don't know why this one is a character V and the other one is not. Not sure here, but we'll take a look at that later. So we have this one is a character V and I want a string V. Okay, that's not good. Why am I doing things here? So I have a components over here. Okay, great. Then I have my word. I have, ooh, it's getting tight. So I have that flatten, and then I have trim, word, part, word, s parser, star flatten. Okay, so if I do this on the first one, it should give me the V as a string. So why does it not give me that? That's not nice of it. Oh, I think that's the problem. Okay, I can say array with, and then with all this one. And if I do, look at this, I have V and S, great. So now I have my components, which is cool. And notice here, right, this problem was too large. I didn't get the feedback that I wanted. So I made it smaller, now I got the feedback, and I can go back to my little larger problems. Because they don't have to be so, so I have the range, and I have then afterwards components, and then we'll trim both each of these. Again, this is maybe not the most interesting parser, but look at that. I have my VNS things over there. What else do I have? I have the components.
Interactively building up structure on this file.
So I have...
Excuse me, we have a question here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, yes, so like, what is your definition of done with this challenge? Because when would we find out that maybe we... Like when we see the goal, maybe it would be easier to reason about the steps.
So what I want you to do is explore. I've given you a new domain to explore. I want you to convince me that you can put structure on that information and explore it in multiple ways, so trivially that I might reasonably believe I could make thousands of tools per project.
I can see that. I understand that.
So you're building structure.
Yeah. So now I have duration.
Quite rapidly. It's got to be said.
Right. So now I am going to
we are one thing away from saying, okay, here's the data structured. What kind of ways can you show me this data?
I don't know. Wait a second. I'm not finished. I'm almost finished, but not entirely. I'm almost there. Quite almost there. So I have that one. Then I have description. Then I'm parsing this one. Oh, look at this. I have that one. So great. This is all of it is right there. I don't need these anymore. Excellent. Okay, but no, it's nice. It's okay, but I don't want this. What I want is I would like from here to create, given these sets of tokens, right? Because now I have, strings and numbers and things like that, which is okay, but I actually would like a spell object. My spell. And then I want to create this new, and of course it doesn't exist at the moment. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say I want to create that class. And I'm going to put it in the GOTO package. It's by default just an object. So now I'm going to do here my spell, and then I'm going to say, okay, let's put a header on it. And then in the header I will put the first token, because I can see it here. It's the first one. So T first. Well, you know what? I will just put the whole data. I will just say raw data. I'll put all these connection, all these. I will dump all that array inside. I will create a raw data slot, and I will just put this thing inside of it. Save it. Great. Notice how I'm actually creating now. So now I get an object back.
Okay.
Right, so my spell has the raw data and it has this one. Now it's almost it's nice, right? But now here's the thing: I want this view gives me a view about my spell, but I don't want to spawn another object, another pane over here. So what I want to do instead, I want to do put the raw data. I want to create a raw data view. So I'm going to just create that one very quickly.
So we're at the point where you've taken data, turned it into structured data, and now you're going to show us looking at it in different ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's what one does. So, and now, look, as I was typing things here, a new view appeared over here, so now I don't need that one, because I can just summarize it, right? So I just created this, I got this data, I then raised the level of abstraction, now I'm visualizing it. I'm not finished though, because now this is just one entry, so I know what I really, really want. Basically, actually, I should rename this one, so the entry parser. So
Live refactoring too.
well, because that's what you do in notebooks, no?
Yeah.
So, and then first you have entry parsers, and then you want them to be separated. Yeah.
For time, do you want to just look at one spell rather than the
Well,
entire
let's
file?
do, I don't know.
Up to you.
We
Well,
still have 6 minutes left. That's like, yeah. So I still want to do, because it seems to me like I have an entry parser, and then I do trim. Here's the thing. Okay, let's do that. Let's see. Let me see the contents completely here, so I can see that there's a space in between. But basically, if I do trim over here, and then I will do. What if I just, let's do something like, I don't know how to do, how many lines are there in between. What I will do here, I will say, I want this one, I want to create an island. And I want everything else to be C, like all the spaces, I don't know what that is. And I will say, I want them multiple times, and then I want to parse the contents, right, all of them. So let's see what happens, and see parser C. What? Why don't you understand? Oh, this was sent to nil. Of course, because I renamed it and I didn't reinitialize it.
Okay.
So now I stopped it. Okay, so it just recognized 4 of them. Why did it only recognize 4? Do I only have 4? I don't know.
You got about 10, I think.
I get about 10, so that's not
Yes.
good enough. We need the
So you
little
can
bit
either
more.
show us views on those 10, or you can show us debugging this.
No, I just entry trim, and it's okay. We're gonna do it. We're gonna make it. I'm
You're
sure
very
we're gonna
confident.
make it. Okay. So actually, let's see if I do trim star, and then I still parse contents. Does this work? No, it's just 1. Okay, star, and no, it doesn't work. Trim, and then what else? What else? What else? What else? Let's think. So, okay, if I do, okay, let's do this. So I do string lf, and then I say as parser. And if I'm looking at this one, yeah, this should be fine. I have trim action, great. So, parser, if I'm now parsing this, literal not found. Okay, because I'm trimming, I shouldn't be trimming. I have that one, okay, and then if I now do this one star, did you trick me multiple times or just one time?
I haven't tried to put any tricks in this, but it is
Okay.
real and
Very
not
good.
necessarily
Thank you very
beautiful
much.
data.
Thank you very much. You're very kind.
I've done my best,
Yeah, I can see that.
but you said you were up for a challenge.
I was up for a challenge. Let's see if I'm actually up for it. So, okay, so, okay. But why is this not working here? Oh, wait a second. Okay, if I do this as parser star, and then I'm going to say star. Does this work better? No, it doesn't. But I'm doing something really wrong, and I'm not seeing
You're
it
under
right
a
now.
lot of...
An array of 4 elements, 3 elements each. So it's like there are two-dimensional array. Are they 12 spells in the file?
I think there's
Yeah.
about 12 spells, yeah.
So we have like 4 elements array, 3 elements So maybe there's something with the new lines between those.
I think so, yeah. I think so. And if I now tell it to go to the end, then now it goes to here, and then it says that it doesn't find, but where is it? Okay, it's basically, it gets all the way to here. So what is here? Something is here. So what is here? This is at 402 and it's 426. There is another new line. So it's LF.
Yeah, there's a new line between each block.
Yeah, but I thought I've done that. It's right here. LF parser string LF. Huh. This is not working. Why is it not working? Oh. Separated by, and then yeah, not that. String LFS parser. Ooh, this is too difficult. I am not seeing it. I am not seeing it.
Debugging a new parser live is perhaps asking a heck of a lot.
Oh. Now the thing is that I will just go away from here with all these people watching, and all of a sudden I'll figure it out. Yeah. And then say, oh, why is it that it's not? What are you trying to get? You're trying to get. Okay. Oh, look at this! It actually tries to get most of it. Oh no, no, no! You tricked me here at the very end. You tricked me.
Oh, it's at the end.
Oh, the very end. Well, it's almost there. Almost there. And I don't know how to do it. I'll have to think about this. But anyway, so in the meantime, while I'm thinking about it, I have this raw data. And now, let's say that I want to just take my spell and then print it properly. So maybe I'll say I want here raw data, and then at header. Oh, actually, I can just look at the raw data and basically say, okay, not the one say first, and then I say value. And then it's going to be this one. And then it's going to be string lf, and maybe another string lf. And actually, I'll maybe write all of this. So maybe I'll do this, and I'll say roped, and then I'll say font size 20.
Okay.
And then I'm going to say, let's put string lf and some string lf. And I'm going to make this one roped text.
So what you're doing here is constructing your first rich view
on
the data.
Just for the first one, just to say I have an idea. So I have a raw data here. Second. Okay, and then I'm going to get the value, and I'm going to say the rope text. So if I do this, I'm basically getting this one is there, and this one is the second one. And I kind of like this action, because it would be really cool if I would have all the spells and I say how many actions does it have, how many feet does it go. That would be like the loveliest thing.
Yeah.
But now you got me somewhere there, and I'm so upset. Anyway, so because this is nice, I'm going to say, we have to stop. Yes, I know. I'm going to say as text. And so now I'm extracting it, putting it in here. And let's say that I'm going to just also create a text for a view, and then
are you making this an official view of spells, so it's installed in the system
nice,
permanently?
Yeah. So I'm going to
make
say
that
view,
the last step.
say text editor, and I'll say tail text, and then the text is going to be, and then here I already have self as text. I'm already selfing it, right? And I've got that one. So now I can close everything and I go back to my thing. And so now if I have one entry, I can just do that, right? And so, yeah. And then if I have, let's say I'm gonna just take, what I will do is I will just take 3 of these. There's something funny somewhere.
Okay.
I'm
afraid we're very much coming to time.
I am afraid as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so afraid of that.
But I think.
Yes.
I think the shape we get here is a very interactive environment for exploring. live putting structure on things, we've started to see interactive debugging and a way of creating custom views, right?
Yes.
Maybe if we stop the code and quickly pull out to where that gets us, if you had an environment that did that really well.
Yes. So, almost.
Almost. Tough challenge.
Well,
but we can see the shape of it.
Okay. So,
if let's just imagine for a second this has gone perfectly, and we have a bunch of spells and a live way of looking at them.
yeah. So you would then create a spell book object, which would have multiple spells inside. Then I'd have there a way to order the spells by defeat. I would have a way to order them by the amount of actions, and then I don't know what else it would be interesting to find from there, because I'm not a Dungeon and Dragon type of player. So.
But you are someone that goes into companies you've never seen and
Yeah.
uses this to explore domains you've never seen.
Yes,
regularly.
and this is exactly the process. We have no idea about what we're seeing, and what we're doing is we just describe the problem that we do understand. And once you describe that problem, the next level comes, right? Because before, when I just looked at the bunch of text, I could not see the fact that here there is an action. I just saw one action. I just saw a string. And now I say, oh, there's one, and there's the action, which is a unit. Or I have 30, and there's feet, which is a unit. And now I can start to reason about that. And I'm going to ask, what is it for? And then I'm going to do the next level. And I'm going to build the next view, and then the next one, and the next one. And it's exactly like this.
Yeah. I think, sadly for time, we're going to have to say, take a look at Tudor's talk if you want to see more of this under lower pressure conditions. I have downloaded this and played with it, and I'm not nearly at your level of expertise, but I have built some things I find fun and interesting on data I wanted to explore. I want to repeat this experiment if you're not traumatized, because
I'm not. I'm absolutely loving it, actually.
Yeah. But for now, Tudor, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That is almost impossible to do.
Yeah. And I found the problem.
You found the problem? Of course you did.
I found the problem. So here you have my assumption was that it was just words, but it's actually anything.
Yeah. And that's not me trying to trick you.
I know.
That's what the data actually says.
So that's what the problem was.
Yeah. Live debugging.
Yes.
I don't know any people who would even volunteer for what you just did, so thank you.
Thank you.